Definitely financial. Hitting that millionaire status before I was 40 was a huge milestone. And at the end of last year, that number hit 2 million. So once the ball starts
It
rolling,
did? It did? What?
yeah,
What?
you.
All right, well, welcome to another session of Rock Your Money, Rock Your Life. This is going to be a special segment where we interview one of our successful millionaires. And on today's show, we have a lovely Canadian-born girl, Jenna Swinwood, and she is a dynamo. So welcome to our episode, Jenna.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
So we met a few years ago, and Jenna was already a very successful real estate agent on a path toward becoming a millionaire. But during our journey together and sharing some time in our mastermind group M1, I like to believe that we were able to throw some gasoline on her fire and accelerate some things. We're going to talk a little bit about that today. But before we do, tell us a little bit about where you got started and where did you grow up, first of all?
Sure. So I grew up in Ottawa, Ontario in Canada. And I grew up with a wonderful family here. My dad was an entrepreneur. My mom worked really hard at her job too. She was in the government until I was about 18 years old. And went to school in Thunder Bay, actually have a degree in camping.
Oh, yeah, really? Wow. How does somebody get a degree in camping? What does that mean?
It's the Outdoor Rec Parks and Tourism program. But my third year trip we did was down the north shore of Lake Superior and did a 2-week sea kayaking trip. So that was quite an incredible journey.
So you're a good person to get lost in the woods with.
Not so much anymore. It's been a while.
Okay, cool. So tell me a little bit about what you learned about money growing up. How were your parents with making and managing money?
So I wouldn't have considered our family, rich by any means, where we were doing luxurious yearly trips or doing types of things like that. But, we were very lucky that both my parents worked and we had a decent income coming in where we got to enjoy a cottage as children, and we did do a little bit of traveling. And I think with my dad being an entrepreneur and my mom working as well, I had the opportunity to really learn that anything that you want to make happen in your life, you could. And, I was very blessed with the opportunity when I was just 10 years old to actually spend a month with a leader and 3 other children from Ottawa in a program called CSIV, the Children's International Summer Villages. And I went to spend a month on my own with these people when I was just 10 years old. And when I came back, they were going to plan this amazing trip to Brazil just a few years later. And my mom's like, well, that's great. Like, Jenna, let's do this. How are we going to get the money together for it? And she got me a job working at Regal, and I did sales of different things like Christmas cards and wrapping paper. And then one day we ended up going to Tremblant, and I found this little envelope on the ground in the bathroom, and I picked it up, and there was $1,000 American dollars in it. And my mom was like, somebody's looking out for you. You wanted to go to this trip in Brazil, and now you've got a head start. Now, of course, we let the people at Tremblant know that we had found the money, and it was months went by when nobody claimed it. So I did end up getting to keep it.
Wow. So you did the right thing, and then it still stayed with you, and you were able to link it back to setting a goal. That is really a great story. I didn't know that about you. So fast forward now, when we met, your successful real estate agent, how much did you focus on actually taking care of your money and knowing about how much you had and being intentional about growing it?
I was a little bit into tracking the money. I was married for 12 years up till about 2016. And, I was lucky to have had a partner at that time that was great at tracking, and we kept out of debt, and he had his own business as well. So it was a good opportunity. And I remember those days so long ago that we were focused on becoming that millionaire couple together, and we made it pretty darn close until unfortunately things ended. But
yeah, I can relate that you're not the only person that has had that happen. It's like you're almost at the finish line and then you get pulled back, snakes and ladders, right? Zoop.
Right.
Start over again. Dude. I get it. I get it. Okay. So, was there a specific meaning to you in becoming a millionaire? When you started to really become part of M1, was it something like, okay, it's going to mean something to me, or was it just about gaining momentum and moving in the right direction to financial freedom?
A little bit of both, I guess. There was some meaning because I really got involved with M1 after my separation when I felt just that this. Well, like you said, right, we have to start again. We're at the bottom of this ladder. So, to find this tribe and the time that happened to me was monumental in its own. And then seeing people get to that status of being a millionaire, I think that whether this is good or bad or right or wrong, but money to me is so important in knowing that it's good for the good that it can do. And when I see, people getting to millionaire status in this group or people who have a lot of money out there that end up helping so many other people, that's where I want to be and that's what I want to do. And I'm not saying like I'm done sort of growing yet in terms of growing that pot of money, but at the end of the day, it's made me feel like I can now go out and help a lot more other people understand what it's like to be a little bit more financially stable. So that on that side of things, it certainly was a monumental goal that I wanted to get to. But on the flip side too, it was a journey for me and it still is. And I still want to keep that going and keep growing that way.
Yeah, nice. So, as we study successful people, and I spend most of my life doing that, looking for the patterns and the habits, and then, trying to articulate that so people in the tribe like yourself, I can kind of be the Google of personal development and then download it to you guys. There are things that successful people do during the day, and there's things that struggling people do. What are some of the things that you do during the day that you would attribute to your success?
The miracle morning changed my life. I get up now every single day without a doubt at 4:35 a.m. I take time to meditate, which was something new that I started just last year. That's been amazing for me because I'm a very high energy individual, learning a little bit about the different types of things that we want to focus on in M1 and the focused energy being one of them. That was really my goal for the fall. So getting my meditation done, I get some time in on the treadmill and do a workout every single morning. I'll do some spiritual work in terms of journaling, and that's just helped me focus so much more, get clarity on my goals. And I think once you have really good clarity like that on your goals, things really start to move forward for you towards them.
Yeah, beautiful. I like to say that the morning is your morning routine is the childhood of your day. And if you've got a messed up childhood, you got a messed up adulthood. So I love that. Is there something that you don't do, like that you used to do, and you're like, okay, now I need to eliminate that from my life. It doesn't serve me.
I feel like I used to try to deal with a lot of things by myself. If I was struggling in my relationship or, trying to learn about something in terms of real estate or even money. And I realized how much more everyone else knows. And we have a term in real estate, R&D, rip off and duplicate. I don't feel like I ever need to start from scratch on anything. Somebody knows more than me. Somebody can get me to the goal faster than I can do it alone. And keeping all those things and feelings even bottled up just doesn't help. So I really embrace, don't apologize for being awesome. And I will talk to anybody about anything now.
That's so beautiful. I love how congruent you are with, some of the lessons we've taught. It's, people, we all want to connect as humans. So the actual fact of asking for help, number one is it connects people. Number two is it allows you to explore being a little bit vulnerable. And number three is it gives somebody else the opportunity to serve or to make a difference, which we all want to do, right?
Yeah.
So that actual asking is a gift that you give to the community and to other people. So that's great. Let's talk a little bit about the journey. A couple of years you've been with us. What was life before M1 and then the journey in a little bit and where are you now?
Sure. So up until 2016, when I joined M1, as I had mentioned, was in a relationship that I just didn't feel I was really getting the support that I needed to really excel in my life. And I have two children. They're now 11 and 8 years old. So you can imagine in 2016, a mom who was, trying to run a full-time real estate business and try to be a mom to these two kids. And, unfortunately, and when I talk about support, what I mean is really that that dad kind of stepping up and being a dad and helping with the kids and doing things around the house. And that's when I learned about leverage. I couldn't do it myself. I wasn't getting the support I needed. I had to hire people to cook meals for me. I had to hire people to shovel the driveway. I had to hire people to help me with the kids. I had to hire people to mow the lawn. And so leverage became a really big, important thing in my, I guess, career sort of early on. Yeah.
So as you journey, that's now 4 years you've been with M1.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And what would you say is, we are the sum of the 5 people we spend time with. You've made some friends, you've been in pod calls and things like that on a consistent basis. If you were to really think back to before, Jennas Swinwood, before M1 and after, what are some of the things you feel shifted for you?
Oh, there's so much. At the end of the day, I feel like that mindset is really the most important thing. And when you're stuck in this loop of a relationship where you're being told continuously, like you need to do more and don't do that in front of the kids, or, just negative talk all the time. When I started M1, that's what really shifted for me. All this positive talk. You can do it. You can do this. Here's some goals to reach for. Do a vision board. All these different things completely 180 changed my mindset. And once that started happening, I think I'm really the big believer in, spiritually, the universe and things happen for a reason that way. So really the universe, I kind of feel fell into line for me, and things have just been, on an upswing since then, and including meeting an incredible man, Tin, who is so supportive and does laundry and groceries and helps with the kids and is there 110% for me every single day. And what a difference.
Well, they say that we attract an individual at the same level as us. So maybe as you ascended through your own personal development, you attracted somebody at that level. And as you know, in M1, we talk about support, encouragement, and challenge, and the importance of those 3 elements at the right time. It's one thing to be challenged all the time, work hard and do more and come on, hustle, etc. But without the words of encouragement or the support, it becomes a shallow life, right? I always say, if the people that are challenged all the time end up like Mike Tyson, bite somebody's ear off, because it's just too much of that, right? Yeah. But it's nice to have a little bit of all of it. And it sounds like you're in that place now. Does that make sense?
It makes 100% sense, yes.
Beautiful. So what are 3 areas of your life that you would say, we divide our life into 8 areas, 8 gardens. Try to choose, say, 3 areas that you feel the needle got moved most. And I can help you jog through some of them if you want, but what comes off the top of your mind?
Definitely financial. Hitting that millionaire status before I was 40 was a huge milestone. And at the end of last year, that number hit 2 million. So once the ball starts rolling.
It did? What?
Yeah,
what? I always tell people it's the trajectory. We're going to get you to 1 million, but the trajectory after that is going to be sick. It's going to be crazy. But wow, look how fast you went. Congratulations.
Yeah, and it's so interesting because I feel it's so easy now. You said start looking at being an investor and looking at all these different opportunities. I bought my first stock last March and made $50,000 last year. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so finance is off the chain. You are now into, trajectory. The rocket has left. You're at cruising altitude. And now, by the way, we talk about the cash flow quadrants, and you now need to spend additional time down in the investors quadrant and start having those high-minded conversations. Get you in the room with the people that are now worth 10, 20, 30, 100 million, so you can get really comfortable with the language of that conversation. Does that make sense? Absolutely, yes. Well, that's wonderful. I'm excited for you. Thanks. Okay, so finances, yes, check. What about your health? Health, a huge change, actually more just last year. It wasn't something I had been overly focused on, but with all the stress and everything that I had gone through with my separation, unfortunately,
caused some issues, and I ended up with something called SIBO, which is where your bacteria from your colon get into your intestine.
Oh,
So
wow.
I didn't know it was as bad as it was, and I've had to do a couple of rounds of antibiotics on it. But when I started focusing on my health last year, I changed my diet to a diet that would also help reduce inflammation. I ended up losing almost 20 pounds, releasing 20 pounds. And I have so much more energy. I feel really good. The kids see their mom getting up early and working out, and I think that's a good thing for them to see as well. So definitely a big change.